Hey guys, I'm Nika, your English teacher, and welcome back to the Prosta English podcast, the podcast where we discuss various interesting life-related topics while improving your listening skills and also expanding your vocabulary. Please follow this podcast if you haven't done it yet, and let's get started. I remember that when I was in high school, it was very difficult for me to study because from early in the morning until 3 or 4 p.m. in the evening, I was at school. And afterward, I would go to a private tutor. And then I had to spend many hours doing my homework and also preparing separately for the subjects I needed to pass to enter a university. And it was crazy. I had no free time at all, and I always felt anxious and stressed. And looking back, I don't understand why in high school I still had to study subjects like physics, biology, and chemistry when I already knew that I wouldn't need them for my future career. And the point is that I don't even remember anything from those subjects. And nowadays, if I have any questions related to those areas, I can simply Google them, or I can watch videos on YouTube, or I can find an expert who can help me with my issue. I believe that it would have been much more beneficial during high school to develop some soft skills that are useful for everyday life rather than studying subjects in which we have no interest at all. And in this episode, I'd like to share my thoughts on the subjects that I would personally add to the school program. So listen to this podcast until the end and then send me a message on Instagram to let me know whether you agree with my thoughts and what kind of subjects you would personally include in the school program. So let's begin. The first subject that I would definitely include in the school program is called emotional intelligence. I remember when I was a teenager, I experienced many different emotions. And in one day, I could feel super happy in the morning. I could feel over the moon. And then in the evening, I could, on the contrary, be extremely sad and I could cry my eyes out. And I think this happened because many things were new in my life and I was experiencing them for the first time. For example, the first love, first conflicts with friends, first serious misunderstanding with parents, also thoughts about the future and receiving bad marks. And sometimes it was overwhelming and I didn't understand what exactly I was feeling. So I think the subject of emotional intelligence would be a valuable addition. We could teach students, for example, how to understand their own emotions and reactions, as well as how to effectively manage and control those emotions. And this would also include strategies for handling stress and coping with anger and anxiety in a healthy manner. I also remember from my childhood that kids could sometimes be rather cruel and aggressive if they saw someone who was different and, I don't know, for example, had an unusual appearance or somehow stood out from the crowd. And children could start bullying and laughing at this person and making silly jokes. And it could be really painful and it could potentially lead to severe mental problems. So it would be great if the subject of emotional intelligence could help develop kids' empathy and also the ability to understand the feelings of others and the capacity to put themselves in someone else's shoes. I believe that if we learned from school how to identify our own emotions and the emotions of other people, we would definitely be better equipped to build closer and more honest connections with people. And this would help us avoid or manage many conflicts and at the same time preserve family relationships and friendships. So, yeah, I believe that everyone would definitely benefit from the subject of emotional intelligence. Now let's move on to the second subject, but first of all, I'd like to share a short story from my life. Throughout her life, my mom suffered from an eating disorder. She always wanted to be thin, and because of that, she was constantly, really like constantly on different diets. And sometimes I remember that she would take some kind of pills to suppress her appetite, and some days she wouldn't eat at all, and while on other days she would like overeat and then blame herself. And this cycle was repeating over and over again. Last year, I became worried about my mom's health, and that's why I bought her a set of consultations with a nutritionist. And this specialist introduced my mom to the concept of a healthy plate, where 50% of the plate consists of fruits and vegetables, 25 is for proteins, and the remaining 25% is for healthy carbs. And after those consultations, my mom completely changed her diet. And after a couple of weeks, she realized that she stopped overeating and she stopped going crazy about sweets and candies. And now, after 47 years, she finally has a healthy relationship with food. One day, while discussing this topic with my mom, she asked me, why aren't the basics of healthy nutrition taught in schools? And considering the global situation and how many people suffer from obesity and food disorders, I absolutely agree with my mom and her question. And I also believe that a subject on healthy nutrition could truly change the lives of millions of people. In today's world, the ability to think creatively is a valuable skill that can open doors to many different opportunities. And that's why the third subject that I would introduce is called creativity and innovation. For example, from one class to another, students could be given various cases. Let's say, to create their own company, or to find solutions to business problems, or maybe to plan a months-long trip for a group of friends with a limited budget. Or maybe develop an idea for an app that could be useful for students. Or, I don't know, design infrastructure improvements in the city to benefit people with disabilities, and so on and so forth. And in these subjects, students could be taught various brainstorming techniques, and they can also learn how to work effectively in a team and actively, listen to others and manage conflicts if they have some. And additionally, they can acquire skills in using special apps, for example, for project management and meeting deadlines. And furthermore, they can create presentations to showcase their ideas to others, and this can also help them develop their public speaking skills. Honestly, this is the idea that I took from my university studies, because while studying in Lithuania, we had many different group projects in various subjects, and I truly enjoyed them because working as a team was always more enjoyable than working alone, let's say. Or it was also highly productive and creative because all students had their unique ways of thinking and different backgrounds. And when these students came together for brainstorming, the final results were always fascinating. So I believe that school students would definitely benefit from a subject like creativity and innovation in both their personal lives and also in their future careers. The fourth subject that I would introduce to a school program is financial literacy. I've noticed that many adults struggle with managing their budgets because they often borrow money from their friends. I don't know, they're always broke. They spend money on useless stuff and they don't save anything. And it would be beneficial if we were taught in schools how to track our income and expenses, and maybe also how to set financial goals, or perhaps even how to invest money and what are the possible ways of doing it. That's it for today, guys. These are my ideas for school subjects that could help us develop our soft skills. So, to recap, these are emotional intelligence, healthy nutrition, creativity and innovation, and financial literacy. Please send me a message on Instagram to let me know whether you agree with my ideas and what subject you would personally introduce to the school program. And of course, don't forget to follow this podcast so you won't miss the next episodes. And if you would like to learn more about my life, please subscribe to my Instagram. The link is in the description of this podcast. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for listening and stay in touch. Goodbye.